Judge EVA, with this large group, well, I've got to watch what I'm saying. We're already live streaming. We we can't afford it. But
I know.
Jessica is initiating the live stream because it takes a little time. We've been having some issues, but we'll allow others to log on, and then we'll start in a couple of minutes.
You know, I did read the statute, and it did say that the meetings, these meetings are open government. So can I assume that this will be YouTubed or?
Correct.
Okay.
And we're going to go over all that, and you know, we there are aspects of it that are not subject to the open government that will allow us, the smaller groups, to meet. But Search and the magistrate Kwan will go over all that.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. How you doing?
Hey, Senator Frank, I'm so happy that you were able to log on. You're a very important part of this, of the reason why we're here, and so I'm so happy that you were able to log on.
Oh, appreciate it, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to join you.
All right, we still have a minute or so, and then we'll get started. But just keep in mind that we're already live, so just be mindful of that.
Thank you.
And we are being recorded.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honors. Representing Senator Dwayne Nicholas.
Okay, and your name for the record?
Gerald Torres, Ursula,
Okay,
and Ray Bonita.
all right. Okay, I have that it's 12 noon. And again, I just want to let people know that we are recording this and we are live streaming on the Judiciary's YouTube channel. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. So good afternoon, and it's Friday, January 13, 2023 for the record, and the time is 12 noon. The initial meeting of the Guam Criminal Law Procedure Review Commission, as I indicated earlier, is now called to order. And I note for the record that this is the first meeting of the commission. I would like to now introduce Attorney Andrew Serge Kenga, who I have appointed as the Executive Director of the commission, and ask him to call the roll for this meeting. Serge, please proceed.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Under Public Law 36-119, which was enacted in November of last year, this commission consists of 15 appointed or designated members from the leaders of the 3 branches of government: the Guam Bar Association, the Office of the Attorney General, the Public Defender Service Corporation, the Guam Police Department, and the Department of Corrections. The commission has received notification of all 15 appointed or designated members. Members, when I call your name, please respond here or present and state your location. For example, if you are at your office, please state, "Reporting from my office in Tamuning, Guam." I'll start with the Chief Justice's appointees. Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan.
Morning, present. I'm at the Judiciary Guam in the chambers.
Attorney Randall Cunliffe, Mr. Monty McDowell,
I'm here at my office in beautiful downtown Harmon.
thank you, sir. Speaker appointee, Attorney Phil Tydinko, Speaker appointee, Christine Tenorio,
Present in my office in Tizan, Guam.
thank you. We have the governor's appointee, the Honorable Elizabeth Barrett Anderson,
Present, home in Jotnia.
the governor's appointee, the Honorable Anita A. Sokola,
Present here in Tonghum, Guam.
governor's appointee, Ms. Valerie Rages, GBA president appointee, Attorney Joseph McDonald,
Present from the office, McDonald Law Office in Hagåtña.
GBA president appointee, Attorney William Bucky Brennan,
Good afternoon. Present from my office in Hagåtña. Thank you.
Attorney General Designee Assistant Attorney General Marianne Woloshuk,
Present from the AG's office in Tamuning.
Public Defender Service Corporation Designee Attorney John Morrison, Deputy Director,
Present, our office in Sinahanyan.
Guam Police Department Lieutenant David Brantley, DOC Director Robert Camacho. Chief Justice, I believe we have 10 members present, so we do have a quorum for today.
All right, excellent.
I do note for the record that ex-official members Jerry Cepeda, the compiler of laws, and myself, the executive director, are present.
All right. So my request before we get started is that the members or representatives of the members of the commission, I'd like for you to turn on your video so that we can speak to each other, and it'd be nice if you had your videos on. But any staff members not representing a member of the commission, you can it's optional with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I want to thank you, Serge, for the roll call. As you heard Attorney Kanga mention, we do have a quorum, and although there's no official action that we're going to be taking, it's a good start that we're starting. It's a large commission, but there are reasons for that, as we'll get into when we proceed with the agenda items. I want to note for the record that due notice for this meeting, as Judge EBA had asked, that we are subject to the open government law for our larger meetings. Having been provided, I ascertain, number one, that we do have a quorum for this meeting. Because this is the first meeting of this commission, there are no minutes to approve. Before I introduce the chairman of the commission to continue with the agenda, I would like to say a few words to open this initial meeting. First, I'd like to, of course, recognize the presence of Senator Frank Blas, and as I will elaborate a little further in terms of his role in this commission, but I did see Senator Frank Blas. I see that we have Senator Seneclus's office being represented, Senator Tello Tydegui, and of course we have retired Judge Elizabeth Barrett Anderson, retired Judge Anita Sokola, who have all been properly recognized. And we have Senator Tom Fisher. Tom, I'm so happy to see that you have logged on. And so if I miss anyone, please excuse me. But I have limited blocks on my screens, and that's who I currently see. As I mentioned, Senator Frank Blas Jr. is really responsible in large part for us to be here where we're at today. And I want to thank you, Senator, for your foresight in introducing Bill 146 early in the 36th Guam legislature, which sought to create this commission for the purpose of updating Titles 8 and 9 of the Guam Code Annotated. Thank you for allowing the judiciary to partner and collaborate with the legislature on improving Bill 146 and eventually substituting it with Bill 311, which was signed into law by Governor Leon Guerrero on November 9th, 2022, as Public Law 36119. I also want to thank Senator Joe San Agustin for identifying the seed funding to support startup costs of the commission. And of course, all the members of the 36 Guam legislature who, as I recall, Senator Frank, unanimously supported the passage of this bill. The Criminal Law and Procedure Review Commission will conduct the first complete review of Guam's criminal codes of Guam and criminal procedure codes in nearly 50 years since they were introduced in the 13th Guam legislature by Senator Concepcion Cruz Barrett, mother to Judge Elizabeth Barrett Anderson, who was appointed by Governor Leon Guerrero to the commission.
Thank you.
And Liz, I'm just so happy that you are part and that you're going to continue to take on the mantle of your mother, and she had the foresight and the vision to introduce and lead the legislature in the passage in the 13th Guam legislature.
Thank you, Phil.
And
Thank you.
And it seems so fitting, Judge EVA will have the opportunity to contribute to the update and review of Guam's criminal codes and procedures that her mother, the late Senator Chong Barrett, was responsible for introducing.
Thank you.
Judge EVA is one of the 15 members appointed or designated in the commission by stakeholder entities identified in the public law, specifically the governor, the speaker of the legislature, the chief justice, the Office of the Attorney General, the Public Defender Service Corporation, the Guam Bar Association, the Guam Police Department, and the Department of Corrections. Members include a judicial officer and 2 retired judicial officers, attorneys from the public and private sectors, prosecutors and defense counsel, members from community-based and public interest organizations relating to the criminal justice system, such as Mr. Monty McDowell, who I have appointed, who has been a tremendous supporter of our therapeutic courts, and Mrs. Valerie Rages from the Lighthouse Recovery Center. Members also include the Chief of Police and the Director of Corrections. Well, normally we would think of a Criminal Law Revision Commission as something for lawyers to participate in. It's Senator Frank Blas and vision. It's really important that we also have inputs of lay people from the community who, with the experience, background, maturity, to give us a perspective of lay people rather than just the legal review, which I will point out is very important that this commission is going to undertake. The work of the commission will provide the infrastructure for the modernization of Guam's criminal code and complement the judiciary's separate work toward the revision of Guam's criminal procedural rules. Since the last comprehensive review of our criminal procedures half a century ago, there was a monumental shift in creating the judiciary as a separate and co-equal branch of the government of Guam. The 2004 amendments to our Organic Act that firmly and permanently established the judicial branch as equal to the legislature and executive branches of our government also gave the Supreme Court the sole authority to promulgate rules governing the practice and procedure in the courts of Guam, including rules of criminal procedure. Because of this shift, the Criminal Procedure Code must be reviewed to separate and abolish purely procedural provisions from the code so they may be placed within the new Guam Rules of Criminal Procedure to be adopted by the Supreme Court of Guam under the Organic Act. The Guam Rules of Criminal Procedure will sit alongside the long-established Guam Rules of Civil Procedure and the Guam Rules of Appellate Procedure as the governing rules of practice in the courts of Guam. While what is going to be highlighted is the Correctional Code, Title IX, I firmly believe that this commission should also invest its time and resources in reviewing Title VIII, the procedural aspect of criminal practice. Although that is now vested within the Guam Supreme Court, as you will be all informed, once this commission completes its work, a report is going to be prepared and it's going to be sent to the Speaker of the Legislature, the Governor, and the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will greatly benefit from the work of the collective work of this commission, just in terms of the very broad knowledge, experience, expertise that I don't think we can duplicate within our judiciary, a better composition in which to review the Criminal Procedure Code. So, and then from there, the Chief Justice can then decide whether it wants to adopt the recommendations of the commission or form its own internal committee to review the work. But either way, the judiciary of Guam would greatly benefit the Supreme Court in carrying out its work to adopt the rules of criminal procedure separate and apart from our correctional code. Because of this shift, let me just say that the commission has a short 4-month timeline to completely review Titles 8 and 9 of the Guam Code Annotated, which contain Guam law on crimes and criminal procedure. The commission members had a lot of work to do, as you can see, and the judiciary is committed to doing its part to support the administrative needs of the commission. I have appointed Attorney Serge Kenga, the former compiler of laws, as the executive director, and Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan, a former prosecutor, former practitioner in private practice, as the chair of the commission. Together with the compiler of laws, Jerry Cepeda, this team from the judiciary will provide members with the support necessary to complete their review and present recommendations to the legislature in 24 months, hopefully before the end of the 37th Guam legislature. And that was the dialogue that I had with Senator Frank Bloss, and just in terms of providing the tools and resources to complement the work and provide the staff support of the commission. And that's why, you know, really the appropriation is modest for an undertaking that this commission is being asked to perform. And so the judiciary has also provided an office for the commission staff, and this is at our San Ramon building. And we have numerous conference rooms available for the commission's subcommissions at the Judicial Education Center, the Guam Law Library, if members choose to meet in person. But we will facilitate virtual meetings as well. I think it's a lot more convenient for members, and you can continue to be at your offices or even at your homes to participate in the work of the commission. So in short, the judiciary will provide the commission all the tools necessary to get their work done on time. And I did speak to Justice Torres. He will be taking over as Chief Justice next week, Tuesday, and he is in full support of the efforts of the commission and supporting the work of the commission. So again, I thank the legislature, and I especially want to highlight and thank Senator Frank Blas for entrusting the judiciary with this very important work. And so now it's my honor to introduce the chairman of the commission, Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan, who will continue with the remaining part of the agenda. Magistrate Kwan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chief Justice Carpenter. Day members of the commission, judicial officers, senators, and all who are attending our commission's first meeting today. All members have been sent electronic copies of the packet for today's meeting. Everything covered today is in your packets. We will be covering a lot of information very quickly as our time for this meeting is limited. I and all the members here have our full-time jobs and responsibilities to return to. I am very grateful that all the members here have answered the call to serve on this commission. What we do here will have a profound impact on our island for decades to come. We have a very important job ahead of us in reviewing Titles 8 and 9, and we don't have a lot of time to do it in. As item 4A of the agenda has been covered, I now proceed to item 4B and ask the executive director to briefly introduce each member, as this is the first meeting of our commission, and to identify the subcommission chairs. Mr. Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair, if you could put up slide 3. Oh, thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the 15 members of the Guam Criminal Law and Procedure Review Commission. Starting with Governor Lou Leon Guerrero's appointees, we have the Honorable Elizabeth Barrett Anderson and the Honorable Anita Isacola, who are both retired judges of the Superior Court with many years of experience trying criminal cases in the courts of Guam. Judge EBA is also a former Attorney General. We also have Ms. Valerie Regis, who is with the Lighthouse Recovery Center, whose mission is to help individuals with substance abuse and co-occurring disorders by providing drug-free and supportive living and learning environments, encouraging spiritual growth and strengthening life skills necessary in the transition to achieving a purpose-driven and higher quality of life. We have the appointees of Speaker Teresa Lahi of the legislature, Attorney Phil Tenico, who is a former prosecutor and chief prosecutor, as well as a former social worker. We have Attorney Christine Tenorio, former prosecutor and current in-house counsel at the Department of Education. And we have Attorney Mike Phillips with many years of experience as a criminal defense attorney in Guam. We have the appointees of Chief Justice Carbolito. You've met the Honorable Jonathan Kwan, Magistrate Judge for the Superior Court and a former prosecutor. We have Attorney Randy Cunliffe, a longtime attorney involved with many years of experience in criminal defense law. And we have Mr. Monty McDonald, who has been a staunch supporter of the judiciary's therapeutic courts for many years. Mr. McDonald is the CEO and principal broker at Advanced Management Incorporated. We have Attorney Joe McDonald and William Bucky Brennan, who are appointees of the Guam Bar Association President Jackie Terlahi. Joe is a former prosecutor and chief prosecutor, and now with the McDonald Law Office. And Bucky is with the area law firm with experience in criminal defense. From the Attorney General's office, we have Assistant Attorney General Marianne Wolosik, who is primarily a civil litigator, but also handles criminal appeals. From the Public Defender Service Corporation, we have Deputy Director John Morrison. And finally, we have from the Guam Police Department, Chief Stephen Ignacio, and from the Department of Corrections, Director Robert Camacho. Some of these have stakeholders have identified designees who are present at today's meeting. Now, these members represent a very wide cross-section of our community, and their work will provide a fair representation of their experiences with criminal law and procedure in the criminal justice system. Under Public Law 36-119, the chair has created 4 subcommissions to focus on different areas of law and has named a chairperson to each subcommission. The first subcommission is Crimes Against Person, chaired by Attorney Joseph McDonald. Also on this subcommission will be GPD Chief Steve Ignacio or his designee, Public Defender Service Corporation Director Stephen Hattori or his designee, and the compiler of laws, Jerry Cepeda. Under the subcommission for crimes relating to property, we have Attorney Randy Cunliffe, who has been appointed as chair of this subcommission, Mr. Monty McDonald, Attorney Phil Tydenko, and Attorney Bucky Brennan. For the subcommission focusing on drug and other criminal offenses, we have retired Judge Elizabeth Barrett Anderson as chair, Attorney Mike Phillips, Attorney Christine Tenorio, DOC Director Robert Camacho, and Ms. Valerie Rages. Under the Criminal Procedure Subcommission, we have it chaired by retired Judge Anita Isacola. We have on this subcommission Assistant Attorney General Marianne Woloshuk and myself, Serge Kanga. Before turning it back to the chair, I would like to acknowledge Chief Justice Carboleto for appointing me as the Executive Director. The judiciary has provided very nice office facilities for the commission here at the San Ramon building, which was very recently renovated. We are outfitting the office with all the tools necessary to support the commission and subcommissions in meeting our mandates and responsibilities. Thank you, Chief Justice Carboleto. Thanks also to the Administrator of the Courts, Christina Baird, Facilities Administrator Carl Dominguez, MIS Administrator Robert Robigo, and their hardworking teams for getting this office up and running. Turn it back to the chair.
Thank you. Please note that any member may attend any other subcommission meeting. You may not vote, but you may participate. I only ask that you coordinate with that subcommission chairperson. You will be advised through the forthcoming commission website of meeting dates and times of subcommission meetings. At this point, Chief Justice and I welcome members to the commission. Before I proceed, are there any questions so far? There being none, I'll now turn to item 4C of the agenda. Under the duties of the CLRC, under Public Law 36-119, the CLRC is mandated to review the laws that address the criminal laws and criminal procedures of Guam, and to recommend enactments, amendments, and repeals to the legislature in Guam. More specifically, the CLRC shall conduct a comprehensive and systematic review of Guam's law, including Guam Criminal and Correction Code, codified in Title IX of the Guam Code Annotated, the Guam Criminal Procedure Code, codified in Title VIII of the Guam Code Annotated, and other provisions in the statutory code and session laws of Guam relating to criminal law or procedure. In this statutorily mandated review, the CLRC shall prioritize work on Title IX first. At the conclusion of its review, the CLRC shall submit comprehensive criminal code reform recommendations to the Chief Justice, Ibagat Hagan Guam, and the Speaker of the Legislature of Guam. Thereafter, the CLRC shall, subject to the additional appropriations, conduct periodic reviews of Guam's criminal laws, but not less than every 5 years. All right, please put up the next slide. Thank you. Reporting requirements. Quarterly progress report shall be submitted to the Chief Justice, Ibagat Hagan Guam, and the Speaker of the Legislature. Reports will include comprehensive criminal code reform recommendations as required by 1 GCA, subsection 25.03a, and proposed legislation for revision of Title VIII and Title IX of the Guam Code Annotated, and other provisions in the statutory code related to criminal law and procedure. I now ask the Executive Director and the compiler of laws to proceed with items 4D and present the draft work plan.
Thank you. We are now on item 4D of the agenda. As previously stated, the 4 subcommissions will focus on crimes against persons, crimes relating to property, drugs, and other criminal offenses, and criminal procedure. As referenced in the judiciary's testimony in support of Bill 311-36, which was enacted as Public Law 36-119, we looked at other jurisdictions that have undertaken comprehensive criminal code reviews. Similarly, in drafting this work plan, we found guidance in the processes used successfully by the District of Columbia Criminal Code Reform Commission and the Hawaii Committee to review and recommend revisions to the Hawaii Penal Code, to review and provide recommended revisions to the penal codes in those jurisdictions. Under this draft work plan, subcommissions supported by commission staffers will be expected to meet as often as necessary to complete your reviews so that progress reports and recommendations are timely submitted to the plenary commission. Please note that under Public Law 36-119, subcommissions are working groups. Subcommission meetings do not require notice under the Open Government Law. Plenary meetings of the entire commission, however, do require published notice. Subcommissions may choose to meet virtually or in person. We will support subcommissions with Zoom or other virtual platforms, or provide conference rooms for in-person meetings. As an aside, we will be developing a Criminal Law and Procedure Review Commission website where we will post information and updates on the commission's work, as well as post the schedule of upcoming meetings. In the packet that we've provided a copy of Public Law 36-119, the commission and subcommission rosters, the draft work plan, and a list of proposed meeting dates for 2023, and this PowerPoint slideshow. We've also sent members electronic Word files with Title 8 and Title 9 of the Guam Code annotated by you. Next slide. In the interest of time, I will go through the next slides quickly. These forms are in the draft work plan for you to review more thoroughly. And again, more detail will be provided at future meetings. Subcommissions will be assigned various chapters of Title 8 or Title 9, depending on the area of focus. For example, the Commission on Crimes Against Persons will review chapters 16, 17, 19, 22, 25, 25A, 30, and 40 of Title 9. Similarly, the Subcommission on Crimes Related to Property will review chapters 34, 43, 37, and 37 of Title 9. The other subcommissions will review specific chapters in the appropriate GCA title. Next slide. Each subcommissions will be provided electronic copies of this template, which you see on the screen, to record suggested changes in the chapters and sections, and also to indicate if no changes are to be recommended. Next slide. Each subcommission will also be provided report templates such as the one shown here. Information and recommendations will be summarized in these reports for submission to the plenary commission. Next slide. Review of the statutes will be done in 3 phases. In phase 1, subcommissions will perform a first pass in review of existing laws and recommend changes. In this phase 1, Public Law 36-119 contemplates that members will base their review of Guam criminal statutes on the Model Penal Code and U.S. jurisdictions with recently reformed or revised criminal codes, such as Hawaii and the District of Columbia, where recent revisions have been done. Commission staff will provide members with copies of relevant sections of laws from those authorities. Members may also reach out to local and federal agencies, conduct community outreach, and engage in similar activity in considering changes to existing criminal laws. In phase 2, if a subcommission decides to amend a statute, it will do a deeper dive for closer and more critical scrutiny of suggested changes and finalize recommended amendments. In phase 3, subcommissions will present their recommendations to the plenary commission. All members of the plenary commission will have the opportunity to provide comments and suggestions, and in the end, the plenary commission will vote to accept changes or request further review. Now, this is just a high-level overview to introduce the review process. We will cover the review of statutes in much greater detail in the next and upcoming commission meetings. Please keep in mind that this process is not set in stone. We are conducting this review for the first time in nearly 50 years, and we will change and adapt the process as necessary to complete our statutory mandates in time. Next slide. The phases will continue until a final plenary commission report is voted on and approved for submission to the governor, chief justice, and legislature pursuant to 1 Guam Code annotated section 2507. I now ask Jerry to cover item 4E of the agenda, the tentative meeting schedule for this year.
Good afternoon. The tentative meeting dates are set every first Thursday of every other month. And this will start after our February 9th meeting. Subcommissions will meet more often and as necessary, and it's anticipated that these meetings will be held to review the code and to make recommendations. I offer the support of the Compiler's Office and of the Guam Law Library, especially in regard to identifying perhaps how the provisions have changed throughout the years. But I do offer for the commission members to pencil in or maybe ink in the dates as indicated on the screen. Thank you, Serge.
All right, thank you, Madam Compiler and Mr. Executive Director. Please put the agenda back on the screen. Thank you. I know this is a lot for our members to digest at this time. Please review the packets. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email or call me, the Executive Director or Compiler of Laws, for any clarification or discussion. Next week, we will be contacting the chairs of each subcommission to provide more information on meetings and materials for review. As stated earlier, our next plenary commission meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, February 9, 2023 at noon, and more than likely by Zoom. We do have a public comment item on the agenda today. Are there any brief comments anyone would like to make before we adjourn? That being said, I'll recognize the Chief Justice at this point in time. Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before we conclude this meeting, again, Senator Frank Blas, I want to thank you for your foresight in introducing this bill and working with us. As you can see, there's a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done. But I am extremely pleased with the representatives that have been appointed by the governor, the speaker, myself, in reference to the knowledge, expertise, and just the background of those members in the commission. This is a major undertaking, and as I explained to you, that the $250,000 that you and Senator San Agustin had worked to provide the initial funding is by no means sufficient to complete such an undertaking. But with the resources that the judiciary is able to contribute in reference to the office space, Magistrate Kwan, who serves full-time as our magistrate judge, and as you know, has an extremely busy calendar, has volunteered. And you have Jerry Cepeda, the compiler of laws, who has a full-time job. And then fortunately, Attorney Serge Kenga, I asked him if he would resign as the deputy administrator for the judiciary of Guam, because with his background as a former compiler of laws, I felt that he was a perfect candidate to be the executive director. And it's a full-time job for him. That's his full-time job. And, I don't know if I want to say committed, but I offered to you that this task was possible to complete within 2 years. And we're going to, make every effort. And it really, and I'm pleading with the commission chairs, if you could try and stay with the timeline, because if your committee lags behind and we're not able, then, it collectively affects the group. Senator Blas, we're going to make every effort to complete the task, but it's really monumental, and I think you recognize that, and that's why I asked Serge and the group to do timelines and periodic checks, and have these plenary meetings so we can all check each other to see if we're meeting those timelines. But if we slip, then I know you understand that this is just not something that we can perform and complete. It's a very tedious task, but I think that the staff has come up with the process, the structure in which the commission members can then just apply their collective knowledge and experience. And I've asked Serge to come up with statutes recently updated, like the state of Hawaii, I think it was the District of Columbia. They just completed a complete overhaul review of their statutes, like Hawaii. They had 48 members in their commission. It took them years. And so I said, Serge, let's capitalize on the work product of already other jurisdictions that, we don't have to duplicate. And we just need to look at whether or not their revisions are something that we wish to consider in updating our various codes. So the commission members, you're not operating in a vacuum. You're going to be offered authorities, statutes from other jurisdictions that have just recently completed their review. And so we'll hopefully capitalize on all the hundreds and thousands of hours that went in to their review. So with that, I want to thank you all for stepping up to the plate, for agreeing to participate in this undertaking that has not happened over 50 years. And it will be a tremendous benefit to the community of Guam. And I want to thank you for accepting the task of updating our criminal correctional code and procedure. I'm going to just ask Senator Frank Blas. Senator, I'd like to open the floor if you would just like to say a few comments.
Well, first off, thank you very much. It's a privilege to be able to be with you all. Quite honestly, I thought I was just going to be the fly on the wall and just listening to all the conversation. It's an exciting day, and it's a day that is been in the works for 50 years. It's sitting as a legislator and having to review and having to deliberate many bills that that eventually become statute. One of the concerns that I had is that a lot of times we tend not to look towards the subject matter experts, which should be the case. And in this case, I felt that it was necessary in conversations with many people within the judiciary, as attorneys and employees, and even some of the judges. There was obviously a concern with regard to the statutes that we had. I think, Chief Justice, you and I had a little conversation along with Jerry at one time about another statute that is in another section of law. That was short of saying draconian. It was it's antiquated, but yet continues to remain there. This commission was put together. I want to thank you, Chief Justice, and Serge, as well as Jerry, for the constant conversations we had to improve the bill from what was originally 146, then turned to 311, so that we can have a product that is now, this commission. And we look forward in the legislature to be able to look at the recommendations, see how we can improve the statutes in both the procedural as well as the crimes. As once a law enforcement officer, I know how sometimes you can look at the statutes in different ways, and sometimes it can be troublesome. And I think we need to move away from that. And with regards to the procedures, 50 years, a lot has happened in the world with regard to technology and case law. And we need to catch up to that. And I thank you as well for all of you. I'm looking at the list of all the membership, and it's distinguished. It's the subject matter experts is there. Okay. Lastly, I would be remiss, and I know she's going to get mad at me later. She has the right to. But one of the main pushers too of this legislation and being able to put the conversations sits in your committee too. My daughter, Christine Tenoyo. I want to thank her for her also looking at ways to be able to help to improve this. Okay. Serge, I want to thank you again, also as well, the many conversations that we had in being able to create the improved legislation for the law. And Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan, sorry to put more work on your plate, but I think you'll appreciate it as a magistrate judge down the road. So to all of you, thank you very much. And I'll go back to being the fly on the wall. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Senator. And so with that, this meeting is come to a close and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day and look forward to meeting you when you are doing your work. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.